I'd like to introduce now Annie. Annie is a very experienced veteran in the financial world. She's got many, many years of financial experience under her belt. She's also coached and trained many other advisors and helped them to be able to help their contacts, family, friends, and other clients. Annie is going to be talking about investing in your future. Annie, it's all you.
Thank you, Dave. So yes, investing is also a very important part of your financial plan. So if I could get the next slide, please. So the first thing I want to tell you about is the rule of 72. Albert Einstein called the compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. So compound interest is very important. It's very important to understand how it works. So if we look at this rule of 72, the way that works is, let's say your money is sitting in a savings account at the bank. And let's say you're earning about 1% interest. That's about what you would earn in a savings account. We take 72, divide that by 1, that would give us 72. So that would mean that our money would double every 72 years. If that same money would be invested at 4%, we take 72 divided by 4, that gives us 18. So that means our money would double every 18 years. So here we have an example of a 29-year-old doing a $10,000 investment, just a one-time investment. Okay, what we recommend people is that they do monthly contributions to their investments, but this just for the sake of example. So if that money is invested at 4%, as I said, it will double every 18 years. So by age 65, that person would have $40,000 from their initial investment. But if that same money would have been invested at 6%, it would double every 12 years, 8% every 9. And if it would be at 12%, their money would double every 6 years. So some people think, if my money's invested at 8%, well, that's double 4%, so I should have double by the time I retire. But no, if we look at this, it's 4 times more. So it makes a huge difference. And then at 12%, it was doubling every 6 years. So with that same initial investment, instead of having 40,000 by the time they retire, they have 640,000. That's makes like with retiring with 640 compared to retiring with 40. I'm sure everybody here can agree with me that it's night and day. It's completely different. And this also shows us the importance of starting early. Because if that 29-year-old would have started just 6 years earlier at the 12%, they'd have 1,280,000 because they would have been able to double their money again before they retired. So very important to start young, very important. Well, it's never too late, right? So we want to start as soon as possible. But we also want to make sure that our investments are earning proper interest. So we would help you design your financial plan and find the proper investments for you and make sure that the risk tolerance is adapted to you as well, your personality. Some people don't like to take risk and are very conservative, and other people understand that in order to get higher rates of interest, sometimes we need to take a little bit more risk, but it's a calculated risk as well. So we would help you on an individual basis find the right investment for you. So if I could get the next slide. So here in Canada, we have different ways that we can register our investments. So when it comes to like RRSPs and TFSAs, RRSP is not an investment in itself. It's how your investment is registered. Same with TFSA. So inside that RRSP or TFSA, we could have stocks and bonds, we could have mutual funds, segregated funds, GIC, many different types of investments. Each of them have advantages and disadvantages. For example, RRSPs, every contribution that you make is tax deductible for that tax year. And your investment grows tax-free. Well, I should say tax deferred, because with RRSPs, once you withdraw the money at the end, that's when you will be paying taxes. And with RRSPs, you can contribute throughout your lifetime. There's a maximum. It's 18% of your annual income. And there's also a cap on how much you can invest. They typically, if you earn more than $150,000-ish, you will have reached that cap if you would put that whole 18%. And that contribution room, let's say you're opening up, you've never opened up an RRSP, you're opening up today, we can backtrack and we can fill up the contribution room from the past years as well. So it has a lot of flexibility, and there are different ways to withdraw that money, but you can only contribute to an RRSP until you reach age 71. Once you reach 71, the government will force you to convert your RRSP into a RIF, a retirement income fund. And then at that point, there's a certain percentage that every year you will have to withdraw from your RRSPs. Well, from your RIF, because it's now become a RIF. So you will be forced to start pulling money out. And then you'll be paying taxes to that money that's coming out, and that will count as income. So this could also affect your old age security, depending on how much income that's generating for you. When it comes to TFSAs, there's no tax deduction for the deposits that you put in an investment that's registered as a TFSA. The growth is tax-free. And even when you pull the money out, there won't be any taxes on the growth and the money that you pulled out. Again, very flexible, because the money can be invested in many different types of investments. What I see with TFSA, unfortunately, with many clients, because it's called a tax-free savings account, I've come across so many clients that their money is in an actual savings account at the bank that they've registered as a TFSA. If you're doing that, you're not taking full advantage of the TFSA, because the reason we're registering it as a TFSA is to have that tax-free growth. And if your money's in a savings account at 1% interest, do we really need that protection on that growth on that investment? Is that going to trigger a lot of taxes for us? Not really. So personally, I feel that a savings account, yes, I'm not saying don't have a savings account. That's a great thing to have. We always want to have, some money aside that's very easily accessible in case of emergencies. But a TFSA should be a true investment. There are no age restrictions on TFSAs, so you can contribute your whole life, and there are no minimum withdrawals once you hit a certain age, unlike our RRSPs. So that's another advantage of the TFSA. And because there's no tax when you pull it out, it's not considered income when you're pulling the money out of a TFSA. Therefore, it won't have any impact on your government benefits, such as old age security. And just like the RRSPs, the contribution room carries forward. So we can go, if you've never contributed to a TFSA, or you've contributed less than the annual maximum, for 2023, it's 6,500. The previous year was 6,000, so we're quite a few years before that. We can do the calculations, see how much we can go back and add to your TFSAs in order to maximize that contribution room. But again, what's very important when you sit down with us, we will do a proper financial needs analysis. We will see what your financial situation is, and then we might prioritize the TFSA over the RRSP or vice versa when it comes to your investment based on your personal situation. Again, just like in insurance, there's no one size fits all. Everybody's situation is different. So if I could go to the next slide. So we now have, starting April 1st, there's a new way to register our investments, and that is the FHSA. So that's the First Home Savings Account that just started in April 1st. So the government created this plan to help Canadians save for the purchase of their first home. So it has both the advantages of the RRSP and TFSA in the sense that every contribution that you make is tax deductible and the growth is tax-free. And when you pull that money out of the FHSA, you will not pay taxes as long as it is to purchase your first home. So you cannot pull the money out for something else. Otherwise, it will trigger taxes at that point. You will have to pay income tax on the amount that you've pulled out. So let's say you were planning on buying a home, you opened up this FHSA. The maximum contribution, by the way, is $8,000 a year, up to a lifetime maximum of $40,000. So if you're putting the maximum $8,000 a year, you'll only be able to contribute for 5 years. Let's say you've opened it up, you've maxed it out, and then you've decided, you know what? I've decided I don't want to purchase a home. At this point, in order to avoid taxes from pulling the money out of this investment, we could transfer that money over into your RRSPs. And then you would only pay taxes on that growth once you start pulling that money out in retirement. So we could defer that by transferring it over to RRSP. And the nice thing of the FHSA, let's say your RRSP is maxed out, it doesn't matter. You can still transfer it over to your RRSPs. So it kind of adds an extra $40,000 of RRSP contribution room if you're using the FHSA. So those are the different kinds of registration we have for our investments here in Canada. We also have other types of investments that are open, they're not registered, and there are also other ways of investing through different life insurance products. Again, the best is to meet with a person that invited you to this webinar so that we can sit down with you and do a proper financial needs analysis and find which one would be best for your personal situation. And thank you for everybody who attended and is watching this in the future. And
awesome. Thank you very much, Annie. So hopefully today was very informative and people learned a bunch of different topics or realized, hey, I need more information. Everyone who presented has their contact information here, as well as the others who worked on this who didn't actually speak today. My name was Dave, as a reminder. The first speaker was Chase, second speaker was Armin, and third speaker was Annie.